All right, let's just jump right in, because today we're tackling a question that gets right to the very core of modern physics. We've got this incredible theory that describes our universe, but what if I told you it might just be a powerful calculator and not the true story of reality's engine?
And this, right here, is the central question. Our best, most successful theory of the universe, quantum mechanics, it tells us that deep down reality is all about probabilities, a game of chance. But is that it? Is that the whole story? Or is there something deeper, something more mechanical going on behind the curtains?
So this is the main distinction we have to get our heads around. On one side, you've got quantum mechanics, and it's amazing, truly phenomenal at calculating the odds of something happening. But on the other side is the search for a true explanation, the actual machinery that makes reality tick. So the question is, are we happy just knowing the odds, or do we want to peek under the hood and see how the engine really works?
And this leads us to what is, frankly, a pretty uncomfortable secret in the world of physics. We're about to explore why our most celebrated theory, for all of its incredible power, might just be fundamentally incomplete when it comes to actually explaining the universe.
Okay, so let's try thinking about quantum mechanics a little differently. Imagine it's not a photograph of reality, but a perfect rulebook for a game. It can tell you the exact probability of rolling a 7, but it can't tell you a single thing about what the dice are made of or what physical laws make them tumble. See what I mean? It's a description of our perspective on the game, not the game itself.
This quote just nails the problem perfectly. It doesn't matter how clever our experiments are. If our theory is only about our perspective, we never get a truly complete explanation of what reality is when we're not looking at it. We're kind of stuck on the outside looking in.
And get this, take the famous Heisenberg uncertainty principle. We're all taught that this is some fundamental law of the universe. But this new perspective, it argues that it's not. Instead, it's a consequence, a side effect, of us trying to divide something that is fundamentally a single whole thing. It's an artifact of our limited viewpoint, not a rule that nature itself has to follow.
So if our current theory is just a description, what would a real explanation even look like? Well, that's what we're going to get into next. We're going on a search for the machinery, and it's going to require us to totally reimagine the fabric of the cosmos. This right here is the big philosophical leap. Instead of starting with abstract mathematics and probabilities, what if we approach nature as a machine, a tangible physical system with parts that actually interact? The goal is to find out what reality is actually made of. And here's the prime candidate for that machine's core component. It's an idea called space. Now forget everything you know about particles in empty space. Just for a second, imagine the entire universe is a single, continuous, elastic fabric. Everything we see, a star, this planet, even you, isn't a separate object. It's just a shape, a wave, a dent in this one underlying substance. And, this isn't just some wild new idea that came out of nowhere. It actually taps into one of the oldest and deepest dreams in all of physics. Albert Einstein spent his life dreaming of a theory that could explain everything from the simplest possible foundation. The idea of C-space, one single thing explaining all of reality, is a direct descendant of that beautiful unifying vision.
Okay, now for the really exciting part. Because if this machinery model is right, what can it actually do for us? Let's take a look at how this one simple idea could potentially solve some of the biggest, most stubborn mysteries in all of science.
First up, physicists have spent decades trying to unite the four fundamental forces of nature. You've got gravity, electromagnetism, and the strong and weak nuclear forces. It's been one of the holy grails of physics to find a single theory of everything that wraps them all up in a neat little bow.
The answer that the C-space model gives is, well, it's just breathtakingly simple. You don't have to unite them. Why? Because they were never separate to begin with. In this view, there aren't really any forces at all. What we see as forces are just the interactions of different shapes and waves bumping into each other in that one universal fabric. All right, let's move on to another giant of a mystery: dark matter and dark energy. Together, they're supposed to make up 95% of the entire universe, and we have absolutely no idea what they are. It's a little embarrassing, honestly. So what does this model have to say? And again, the solution is just so elegant. They're not some mysterious exotic particles. In the C-space model, they are simply enormous, long-wavelength waves moving through the cosmic fabric. They're basically invisible to us, kind of like how a slow, massive ocean swell is invisible if you're in a tiny boat, but you still feel its effects.
And the explanatory power just keeps on rolling. This model could give us a real physical picture of what's inside a black hole, getting rid of that pesky, impossible singularity. It could provide a real foundation for why fundamental constants, like the speed of light, have the value they do. And it can even offer a natural explanation for really complex events, like the bullet cluster collision.
And this is where things get really, really profound. Because a theory this fundamental doesn't just change what's in our physics textbooks. If it's true, it changes everything, including how we see ourselves and our place in this universe.
A physical model like this suggests a huge shift in our whole worldview. So look at this. The current view often describes reality as a bunch of separate parts, which can kind of reinforce a social view of humanity where competition is primary. But this proposed view, it says reality is a single, connected whole. If we are all literally part of the same underlying fabric, well, then cooperation isn't just a nice idea, it's a reflection of our deepest physical reality. It even changes science itself, from being siloed into a unified search for truth.
The source material even calls this the spiritual argument. And it makes a lot of sense, right? If you think about us all being waves in the same cosmic ocean, if we truly believe we're not separate competing particles, but just different expressions of one interconnected reality, how could that not fundamentally change human culture for the better?
And here is a fascinating, totally modern twist. Figuring out the exact shapes and the dynamics of the sea-space fabric, the math is a problem of immense complexity. It might actually be beyond the capability of the unaided human mind. So the path forward seems to require a true partnership between human intuition and the incredible computational power of artificial intelligence.
So we'll end with this. It's a question that takes this whole cosmic theory and makes it intensely personal. If this model of reality is right, if you, me, and everything we see are just temporary patterns in one single eternal fabric, what does that mean for how you live your life? What changes? It's a powerful thought to carry with you.